Hello and welcome back to the MacGuffin Tapes. I'm your host, Michael, and I'm here joined as always by Alla. How are you doing?
It's always so funny because, you know how I'm doing. We were talking for the whole day.
She's doing great. Don't worry if you're listening to this. I'm also doing fine if anyone cares. But so we're gathered here. We're
gathered here today.
It's so formal. But we got together.
To announce.
Well, yeah, it's sort of formal and an announcement because it's we're here celebrating our 1-year anniversary of the podcast. Who would have thought 1 year? It went by so fast, and I still remember. I think I mentioned when we first talked about doing this, and we weren't quite sure. Yeah, it sounded like a good idea, but this was 2 years before we actually started, and then 1 year ago, it was you were the one that said, "Okay, let's do it." And
actually, no. Funnily enough, it was Dario. I was like, "Listen, you two talk about movies all the time. Why don't you just record it and let other people listen to you talk?" And we're like, "Well, then again, why not?"
Yeah, and so today I thought that we talk about our most influential movies, the movies that influenced us the most. I guess
personally.
Yeah. I guess in the end it's just going to be a list of our favorite movies.
I guess it depends on how you look at it, because obviously the films that I have in my list are my favorite films, among my favorite films, but the way that I understood it for myself was the influential films, so the films that had a big impact on us, how our interest in film, and I don't know, our general preference maybe in film as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think when I first thought about this idea, I was watching an interview or something with maybe some directors or actors, something along those lines, and they started talking about how they were influenced in their writing and stuff. So that's how I came up with the idea. But then I remembered that then
I remembered that we are not like those people at all.
No. I remembered that before we started this podcast, and I used to listen to other people. I still do, but one of my favorite podcasts, used to do an annual thing where they would talk about their favorites, and I always enjoyed those episodes because, well, first you got to know the people a bit more behind the podcast, but also it was a great entry into many genres and movies and directors. So yeah, I guess in that sense I hope we can do the same for you listening.
Yeah.
But yeah, the task itself, how I wanted to approach this is movies that influenced us. I was thinking, well, we're not writers per se, or artists. Well, maybe you actually write a bit, and I would
you write for work, so
yeah, but not in an artistic way, let's say.
Well, still.
Yeah, but at some point I would like to do that. But anyway, I was thinking of it movies that influenced us did it change our behavior, or did it impact how we thought, or was it just a movie that we remember very fondly? Yeah.
I think as we go through the films we chose, we will say why exactly they are important, and we will see in what way they impacted us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to get us straight into it?
For sure. Should I start?
Yeah, this is very exciting.
Yeah,
we never usually do it like that. And now we're just recording live in one room. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, so
and we don't know what we chose for ourselves, so it's going to be fun.
I'm also really intrigued because you mentioned before we recorded that. What did you say? That it's not the typical thing.
Yeah, you probably don't expect the films that I chose.
Yeah, so I know some of your favorite movies and some movies that you watched growing up. But maybe it's something
Yeah, I'm
different.
really interested. I'm really interested if it's gonna. I don't even know which way would be better. If you told me now and I just kind of had it in mind, or if I told you my picks and then you would tell me what you thought.
Let's do that way around. But let me start. So, how I approached it is basically I had a look at my life. So philosophical.
Same.
No, but for real, I started like when I was a kid and then growing up. So basically, it was like a bit biographical for me. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm going to talk about them chronologically, how they appeared in my life, sort of. Mm-hmm. But it will be interesting because our memories can be a bit tricky, and especially this first movie I'm going to talk about is one that I do remember, but the stories around it come mostly from my mom. And this is a movie that we watched with my brother when we were like probably like 4 or 5 or even younger. 4 or 5, yeah, probably. And it's an animated movie, and it's Aladdin.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't think that far back, I must say. I did also think chronologically, and I have them in my list also chronologically. And what I think we also didn't mention, I think it's a good time to kind of look back not only at the past year, but also at your whole life, because last year, the day that we published or put out our first episode fell on my birthday. And now it's kind of the date, when the podcast started. So it's pretty cool. And so I think it's a good moment to reflect on your life for me.
Yeah, so go ahead and show Alla some love and send her happy birthday wishes in the comments.
So Aladdin, interesting choice.
Yeah, well, like I said, my mom told me that we used to watch this over and over. And on VHS. We're that old. Well, this movie actually came out on the best year ever, which is 92. But I watched, so I was born in 92, but I watched it when I was like 4 or 5, right? A couple of years later. And there were a couple of other Disney films that we watched before that. Like one was Dumbo, and there was one more. Pinocchio was another huge one in our household. But yeah, growing up, my brother and I basically were setting the tone for the movies in the household. Our sister just got to watch what we like to watch. I think you had a similar experience, but the other way around.
Yeah, for me it was like I had an older brother he is much older than me. He's 11 years older than me, so he would bring home all kinds of stuff. I mean, like horror and stuff like that. So I watched those types of films too early, maybe. But for some reason, the ones that he brought were also good. And one of them, I actually had in my mind when I was making this list up, but I did not put it in. And it was the Evil Dead number 3. Well, the Army of Darkness. I think it's number 2 or 3. I'm not sure now. But yeah, the Army of Darkness. And yeah, I did not put it in my list, but I definitely thought about it. Okay. So that is the type of film I would watch when I was 8 or something.
She has never been the same since.
No, I mean, that was actually a good movie. I really enjoyed it then, and I really still enjoy it now.
Good. But I thought about this, especially Evil Dead, that maybe this might be one that you would pick.
All right.
But yeah, let me talk a bit about Aladdin, why it was influential.
You don't even remember. Your mom told you.
No, I actually do remember the movie a bit, weirdly enough. I don't know. Well, this is what I mentioned with memory being tricky, because I think I watched a lot of clips of this as well on YouTube. So at least some of the songs, but I still have images in my mind from like the beginning of the movie. The beginning of the movie is quite interesting because it has sort of Arabian, is it Arabian Nights? This book with the different stories, yeah.
I think it's 1001.
1001 Nights, right? Huh? So with
the Arabian Nights is the song, the song, right?
But it starts sort of with a narrator at a shop where we see a lamp, and then he starts telling the story. So, for example, that I remember, and then I remember sort of the first scene when Aladdin is living as a street rat is what the guards call him, but he's like an orphan living in the streets with Abu, his monkey. And I remember him running around and stealing stuff. And then at the end,
but why did it have an influence?
Yeah, so I'm rambling up.
I'm sure we all know what Aladdin is about.
But you see, I do remember. Well, I think for one it was hugely influential. Yeah, it was influential in my love for musicals, because this is a musical as well.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It has some great songs which were written by Alan Menken, who also wrote songs for Beauty and the Beast, and I think also The Little Mermaid. And much later I learned that the lyricist is Howard Ashman, who was a huge driver of this movie, but passed away before the film got released. And I think he worked on some other of these films of the Disney Renaissance. I don't remember if there was a documentary about Aladdin or the Disney movie on Netflix or something, but that's where I land about that. Yeah, so musicals. I mean, the greatest number is probably A Whole New World, which you don't know. And I should mention that growing up in Argentina, I watched this in Spanish first. And the voices are still, I think they're great in Spanish. Sometimes the dubbing, dubbing can be tricky sometimes, but usually when you grow up with a film, you prefer the version that you grew up with, right? But the voices, the singing voices, Whole New World are great, and I fell in love with, Jasmine, of course, a great voice, and also the character. Yes, and then there are a couple of more comedic musical numbers as well. So that's one reason. The other reason is it has a lot of adventure as well. When sort of Jasmine escapes from the palace, and then she joins Aladdin, and they run around the streets, and he sort of shows her his reality where he lives, and later when he finds the lamb and takes her on the magic carpet ride. Sounds so wrong.
Well, only if you say it does. I don't know.
But I love that that sense of adventure this movie also has. And it was, I think, also very influential in sort of the romantic aspect. I always remember that scene, when they go on this magic carpet ride, and then Aladdin brings her back to the palace, and it's like a huge, like Arabian palace with a huge sort of terrace or landing space, and then actually it's not when he brings her back, but before they leave, and there's this exchange where he says, he wants her to jump on the carpet, and he says, well, do you trust me? And she says, oh yeah, I trust you. And then they go on the strip. But that's like one line that sort of stayed with me, and I always used that sort of line to teach my German students when I used to teach German, to teach that word trust. So I used that example because people of my age use that, knew that movie, so that's what I used. It was also influential, I thought, maybe later. I mean, like I said, I watched it in Spanish, but in the original version, Robin Williams did the voice of the genie, and I learned about this later, but he improvised a lot of his materials, and the genie is a character that's has multiple personalities and can change shape and whatnot, and that's basically because the animators took what Robin Williams was ad-libbing and then turning that into, well, animating that, right? Mm-hmm. But I really liked the scene at the end, which is basically Aladdin has 3 wishes, and his last wish is, well, I want to set you free, genie. And I always thought that that's such a selfless gesture and so noble. And then the way that sort of the genie reacts and sort of hugs Aladdin, I could also feel like Robin Williams through his voice. And I thought it was such a beautiful moment. So that, made me... I guess that was maybe the start of me falling in love with Robin Williams as well. And during the 90s, he had lots of comedic movies like Flubber and Jumanji. And yeah, he was like... when he passed away, that was like... I was shocked by that. And because, I watched a lot of his movies growing up. So, that's maybe another reason why I like this movie. I also remember going with my parents, my brother, to Aladdin on Ice.
Wow.
And then I remember that I got sort of a sword from the guards, which sort of lit up. It was like a plastic sword, very cheap, which broke almost after a week or so, and I was crushed. And my brother got the staff of Jafar, the vizier, which is sort of like a snake, and then you could roll like a disc, and the eyes would glow up and the tongue would come out. And that I think that's still in my parents' house, but that was like a very cool toy. And I was always jealous because my brother, his toy didn't break and he still had it, and I was like crushed because my sword broke almost immediately. But that's sort of why I chose this movie.
Okay, wow. I think that I will change my order a little bit based on that, because the film that I had is my first film, which obviously I will still mention. It was definitely part of my childhood, but it was not such a conscious part of my childhood yet. And it only became more of my conscious pick not so long ago, in more of my like grown-up life, let's say. So I will actually start with Beetlejuice.
Oh.
I wonder if you had it in your list.
I thought about it, because I remember you talking about it, and of course you have that. Is it just it's this one huge poster which
if I think about my childhood, I didn't think as far as you did, but actually, even if I did, I probably would not mention any Disney films, because they were very important to me back then, but now I can't really say that they stayed with me anymore. But Beetlejuice has always been with me and will always be with me, I think. And this is definitely one of those films that was already in the beginning when I first saw it was very important to me, and I was very impressed by it, by the story, by the way that it was done, and I think it had a very big impact on me and on my love for film. And I don't really remember how old I was when I first saw it. Probably way too young. Again, just like for everything, but I think while you were telling your story, I kind of thought the way that we were growing up also had an impact on the way we view film and how we were growing up with it, because now you have access to everything, to a lot of stuff. And when I was growing up, we didn't really have all that much. You had VHS tapes at home, and that's what you had. So you had to watch a lot of the same stuff all the time. And I think this is, for me, one of those things that probably also had an impact on the way that I watch films. I really like to rewatch. I always rewatched my films that I liked. When I was a teenager, there were a few films that I would literally finish, rewind, and watch again. Just back to back, I would watch one and the same film several times a day. And so I'm like that type of person. I think it probably happened to Beetlejuice as well. And that's why I also know a lot of lines from everywhere. I like know a lot of quotes from films because I just watch films very often, rewatch them, right? I don't know how it was in other countries, but when I was growing up in Russia, obviously we didn't have access to a lot of stuff. And you had, for example, my first copy of Beetlejuice that I had was literally recorded on a VHS tape from TV. So my dad just recorded it for me, and that's what I watched, you know. And a lot of people.
You had that technology?
It was
we
just
didn't
basically
even have that.
pirated. Well, you had a VHS recorder, right? And so you could put the cassette in, and you could either play it or you could record on it. So that's how we did it.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of pirated stuff, and so there was definitely Wild West back in the 90s in Russia. And this was the film, obviously, that parents and grandparents didn't understand. They were like, what is that? Why is this kid watching this? Because obviously the subject matter is not really for children. It's about death and about afterlife. And I was always fascinated with this topic. And I mean, maybe not this topic in particular, but just like more of a macabre things, you know, like things that people usually don't talk about. And I think that the way that Tim Burton does this, because that's a big part of his art, is talking about that. But the way he talks about it is not the same as some other authors would. And so I think this was a good introduction into this world, because it's still, he has this element of maybe even childishness to his films, and I think it worked well. Like, to be introduced into this, I mean, I wouldn't say it was my introduction, because there was probably a lot of other stuff going on, not only in like what you watch, but in life in general. So it was probably not the first encounter with death or anything like that, but still, I think it's just it's still talks about those topics in a gentler fashion. And I guess I could also just identify with the characters there, and I still love this film. It's very important to me. I rewatch it. This is one of the films that I rewatch on a rather regular basis, maybe every 2 years or something. I would rewatch it. I recently rewatched it again, I think, and yeah, so that's what I'm gonna say about it, unless you can comment.
Mm-hmm. I think I've watched Beetlejuice probably once.
That's just sad.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I think it's probably one of the more bizarre Burton movies.
Really? You think so?
I don't know. I watched Edward Scissorhands and
I have a story about that.
and the Batman movie, the second one. So those are, I guess, Edward Scissorhands has a bit more of this, what you mentioned, this childishness and this romance. But yeah, Beetlejuice, I think I watched when I was 20-something, and yeah, especially when they get in the undead world, that's very crazy stuff happens. Yeah, but yeah, I remember liking it a lot.
Well, about Edward Scissorhands, I guess when I watched Beetlejuice, I was probably 8 to 10 maybe, and Edward Scissorhands I knew about because at that time I started getting interested in, I kind of started noticing what I like, and by that point it was clear to me that I did like Tim Burton films. I haven't probably seen a lot of them by that point, but still I saw a few, and I thought, oh, Edward Scissorhands sounds like something I might like. The problem was I could never find it anywhere. Like, I could not watch it. So the only way you could watch it would be if you caught it on TV. And one time I did. that was the time. Otherwise, there were no DVDs and no tapes of it. Like it didn't exist in Russia somehow. But then one day I had to stay up because it was shown at night, and I watched it, and I also really liked it. I think at that time.
Yeah, no, but it's true what you said. That back in the day.
Back in the day, no, for sure. Like if you think about it, like people now cannot really relate to this. You can just always watch whatever you want.
Yeah, but it's probably true that it happened to me as well. I think that's like a movie that I really liked, and then I had to wait to catch it on one channel. And even like when I was in primary school, we didn't even have cable TV, so we had like just the air channels. But later, for sure, I think that probably happened to me as well. And it's also interesting what you mentioned with the rewatch aspect, because, well, I mentioned it for Aladdin that at least the things that we owned, we did rewatch a lot, and later with DVDs as well. I don't do that much anymore. Maybe with series which I have running on the background. There are some movies which I sometimes rewatch, but for me, I'm in a phase where I like to watch something new every time, unless I'm really in the mood for something, and then I rewatch it. Cool pick.
I'm glad you liked it. Did you expect this one?
Yeah, like I said, I thought you might mention, or I had it on my radar. Okay, so
moving on.
Number two, yeah. So you will notice a trend, which is how I designed my list.
You, such a designer.
But like I think I said, I'm going through my life with the movies, and there's a second trend which you will also notice. For my second movie, this is something I watched in my, how old was I? I don't even remember when this movie came out, but it's probably 2005 or 6 or something, which is High School Musical.
Okay. I mean, this I really didn't expect, but let's go.
Well, again, it's a musical.
Yep, I guess you could say that.
But thinking about how it was influential, 2 reasons. Maybe the first one was that something a bit more silly, but I actually entered my sort of emo phase, or basically
That's how you entered your emo phase? I have nothing to say.
Emo in the sense that I had sort of that haircut that Zac Efron has in that movie, with a really long hair.
Oh my god, okay.
Yeah, it's sort of, it wasn't that phase where, I don't know, hormones started surging, and then I was attracted to girls and stuff, and I was completely absorbed by that love romance they have in that movie, and everything working like sort of perfect from them, that they meet first in a sort of karaoke bar, and then Gabriella attends Troy's school. But yeah, I remember that movie was a huge thing just in general. It was...
I've never seen it.
You've never seen it? You missed out.
Obviously.
Well, I only really watched the first one. There are 3 movies, but I think I saw the second one, but just in parts, I believe. And I never saw the third one.
There's more than one.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I remember, especially the first one, was like a huge thing for a Disney movie which came out on TV. I think it didn't even came out in cinemas, and everyone watched that and was talking about it on school. And I guess for guys, it was a bit more embarrassing to talk about this movie, or you were sort of ashamed. Well, I like this movie. You didn't really want to say it, I guess. But yeah, that's basically, which is, I guess, not healthy, but I wanted sort of that connection with someone that they have in a movie. I was sort of, trying to find that, or I was thinking about girls in that way, which is, I guess, not very healthy, or puts up some...
I guess, like, we all went through that. We all had a movie like that where we wanted to have this kind of love story that they had. I mean, to be fair, all all the early 2000s films for young adults or teenagers are kind of about that. Like if you think about all the Olsen twins, as they got a little bit older and like they were teenagers, those are the types of movies that they were making, and I think that's the audience, the target audience for those films is exactly the kids of that same age. So
yeah, but I think why I also sort of liked it is that it's because they were great singers, and I wanted to be like that. That I show how awesome I am at something, and sort of through that fall in love. And I guess that's what I liked. It's sort of the expressive aspect or the artistic aspect. I think there's also one great number in the cafeteria where it's more of an ensemble piece where everyone is sort of saying who they are and who they want to be. And I think I don't remember the title, but the lyrics is like "stick to the status quo," which is basically what Sharpay says, which those are the evil twins, which is very American, this idea of, okay, you are in this group and belong to this group, and you're supposed to identify in like the nerd group or the basketball group or whatever. And that song is more about, okay, I can do whatever I want, which is basically what's happening with Troy, who is sort of the popular, captain of the basketball team, and then he also finds, I like to sing as well. So I think that song is pretty important and for development as a kid. But yeah, the number I really enjoy is also the one that Sharpay sings with her brother, because you get two versions of that song. The first one is Sharpay and Ryan, her brother, I think, and then it's Troy and Gabriela who do sort of more a ballad approach to it. But I thought, the first version is also super funny and more like in the style of a musical. And I remember that movie, just thinking about it and living in that feeling for months and months. Maybe even a year or more. Yeah.
Wow, okay. Yeah. Really captured you there, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
should I go on to mine?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you can definitely see a trend with the musicals.
Yeah, that's the trend, yes.
Let's see if you can see any trend in what I do, because I don't really. But I think I will now go on to the one that I initially had in number one. So the one that I would like to mention next, I don't think you would even ever think about, because it's not really known throughout the world, but this is a film called Pokrov Gates, and it is a Russian film. It is not one of those films that are very well known, and not like Tarkovsky or some other directors that make movies that everybody knows and studies in film school and all that. But this is a film that really was with me from my very childhood, because it is one of those films that is always on TV. They show it on TV all the time, and back then it was also very popular. It was popular to show it on TV, and I think we even also had tapes of it. My parents really liked it, and I would say my family still talks in quotes from this film. So we have a lot of like stuff that we reuse from this film, a lot of phrases and quotes that are from the movie, especially my dad and I. And so I think already there I have this connection that is kind of like my family thing, because everybody knows every single scene in that film. This is also a film I can probably quote by heart. Just watching, and I can dub it, just play it and I will dub the whole movie. I probably also saw it a million times, and I guess when I was a child I didn't really like Soviet films, because that's like an old people thing, that's like a parent thing, so that's not something you relate to, and you want to do something else, you want to watch something new. And so for me, I didn't really care for most of those films. But I think this film I didn't dislike. I can't really say that I liked it back then when I was a kid, but I definitely didn't mind it. And it had a lot of scenes, it had a lot of interactions between people that were fun to watch, even still are now, and I think back then, it was probably, I wouldn't go as far as to call it my favorite film at that time, but somehow it was always around. And now there's even a different aspect to it. So another thing that the film is about is it's about Moscow. It's happening in Moscow, and it's a person, I think in the 1980s, he goes to visit a house that he used to live in back in the 50s or 60s. I think it's in the 50s that the majority of the film is happening in the 50s. And so this character in the 1980s, in the beginning of the film, goes back to where this house used to be, and it is being demolished in front of him. And so he then goes back in time, kind of, in his mind, and that's where the story begins. So basically the whole story is a flashback of this character. And so I think it's a story about nostalgia and how everything was just better some other time, and now you're older and now you look back at your life, and obviously, any time that you think back on with nostalgia probably wasn't as perfect as you imagine it to be, but it definitely has some charm. So nostalgia puts like a very nice filter on it. And that's what's happening in this film as well. And I think the way that I watch it, I can relate to it more and more as I get older, because first of all, of course it's about my city. I don't really know if it is really that important for other people. I talked about this film with someone else who is not from Moscow, and it didn't seem like it was very important to them or meant anything to them. So I don't know if it's just me or if it's just Muscovites or whatever it is, but it definitely has some charm to me because of where it is set. And because it's happening in the 1950s, it's about a communal flat. So it's about a shared apartment where it's a big apartment where about, I think, 3 or 4 families live, or one family, okay, maybe 2 families and one other person. So it's a bit of a situation, And obviously it is very common for Russia. It's a very common ex-Soviet thing to live in communal flats. I used to live in one as well when I was a child. So this is definitely something that I can relate to as well. It's probably not for everyone, but it has its moments. It's very funny. It's very touching. It has this nostalgic feel to it for me. And as I said, like the older I get, I'm a very prone to nostalgia myself. So it definitely does speak to me personally. That's probably all I would say. I could probably talk about it more, but I will leave it at that for now.
Yeah, but it's cool. Nostalgia is also, I have a movie that's also a bit about that, which I'll get to in a second. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to ask you, is it more of a comedy or is it more of a mix of genres?
It's like a tragic comedy. How do you say that?
Yeah, I would say
it's mostly a comedy, probably. It has also some musical elements to it. There are scenes where people sing. There's one character that is a singer, a performer, and he performs little sketches, and mostly he sings them. And so there is some singing involved. Probably isn't what I find fascinating about the film myself, but just the general interactions and how people live in that situation. There's also, for example, it's also based on real people. There are some people that are some characters that are based on real people. And just this, element of the intelligentsia, as they're called, so the more educated people living in those conditions, because obviously the way that the country was at that time and the way that they communicate. So there's for example, one of the families, the ex-husband and the ex-wife, they still live there. The ex-wife is now getting married, but she still doesn't want to let this guy go either because she doesn't trust how he lives. Like, there's a lot of interpersonal things going on. But those two people, they are translators, and they work with they translate literature. And so one of the ex-wife is actually working for the Latin American area, like region. So yeah, they speak in like different languages to each other. They just like say different things. There's one guy that he was in the war, so he came back from the war, and so he uses a lot of German in his speech. Like only recently, actually only a few days ago, I was talking to my parents, and we again were talking with those quotes, and there was a thing. There's a thing he says in the film that is Hund begraben. And so my mom's like, Hund begraben. And then she says exactly what he said, and he says the same thing in Russian. So he says what it means in Russian, and she's like, what does that mean? I'm like, you just said what it means. So yeah, that's just, I don't know, I feel like it's my family thing, and it's like a Moscow thing, so there's just too many things coming together, and it just makes it perfect for me.
Yeah, no, but it's really cool. I mean, I don't think I have that with my family, and not with my parents at least. Mm-hmm. A movie that we quote a lot. I think probably with my siblings a bit more. There is more from series like The Simpsons or stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's cool that you have that.
I actually have that with my parents with a lot of movies, but they're obviously all Soviet movies. I mean, okay, not all, but mostly Soviet films, plus a few more modern Russian films.
Actually, now that you say it, we probably have that as well with some like series that were popular in Argentina. Mm-hmm. But I guess your parents are a bit more cinephile than mine, probably.
Oh, they're definitely not.
No?
Believe me, no, they're not. It's just people watch TV, whatever's on TV, whatever is like catchy gets mentioned again and again. I don't know if it's more like a part of our culture a little bit.
It's maybe generational as well.
Maybe. I don't know if it's what it is, but my family definitely does that, and I think that is definitely something I appreciate, because I feel like this is what gave me the basis for my interest, and for, always remembering quotes. I don't know, somehow they just get reused in my family.
Oh, that's really cool, and lots of things that I can relate to. I mean, I think we didn't have that as much, like movies that are filmed in Buenos Aires, or that there are, but there weren't necessarily places that I've been to or stuff. But I think that's like being a movie filmed in Moscow, your city. That's great.
Yeah, and it's definitely kind of, there's an element of a love letter to the city a little bit. So yeah, that also makes it even better.
Yeah, and it sounds a really artsy movie and sort of intellectual. And what else? And I know I can also totally relate to what you said, that it's maybe something that your parents or family really liked, and you were sort of, I don't really know, but then the movie sort of won you over, and I think I have that as well with some movies or series, especially like when you start to get into your teen years and you want to be more independent.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sounds awesome. And talking about the nostalgia, it reminded me, maybe it's a bit, or movies that I can relate to, that is one which is a bit different, but it's A Wonderful Life, where he also, like, there's the scene where he sort of sees himself, but sort of in an alternate reality where he doesn't live and everything is different. And the other one was Cinema Paradiso, where it's a bit different, but it's, I think at the end of the movie, the cinema where he grew up in is sort of being demolished, but I guess it's not told from a flashback perspective, but a bit similar in that emotional level of the nostalgia.
You know what that also makes me think now that you say that? The story, the Pokrov Gate story, initially was made for theater. So it was first staged, and then it was made into a film, and it had a very long way to become a film, because I think there were a lot of people involved, and somehow they didn't get approved, because obviously that is another thing that had to happen in the Soviet Union, that it needed to be approved. It was made for TV, I must also say. It was not a cinema thing. It was a TV film. And I think it definitely has an element of the theater in it. And I think we also sometimes talk about it. I always say that I like theatrical elements in film, but I'm not a huge fan of theater. So I can't say that I go to theater all that much, but I definitely enjoy when you can see theatrical elements in film. And I'm just now thinking maybe that's also one of the stepping stones where that comes from for me.
Yeah. So that's doing this exercise. I think it's difficult to, because in a lot of cases you don't even realize how movies influenced you, like subconsciously, but there are probably a lot of things that we do and like to watch just because other things we've seen.
Yeah.
But really, really cool. Awesome. Yeah. So my next one is, I think this is a movie that you also really like.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be on your list.
Ooh, I'm intrigued.
But again, it's a musical movie. It's not a musical, but it's about music. And it's School of Rock.
Oh, I'm so happy you mentioned it, because I do not have it on my list. Exactly for the reason that I don't think I can say it influenced me, but it is one of my all-time favorite films.
Yeah, I think, well, so maybe this is a bit of a cheat. I don't know if it was that influential on me. Maybe it's just now me trying to fit it in, sort of this logic I came up with for this podcast. I also don't. I probably watched this after High School Musical. I'm not sure anymore. I would have to double check when the movies came out. But I chose it because, well, what's his name? Mr. Schneebly.
Mr. Schneebly.
Yeah, so it's probably earlier than High School Musical.
I think so.
Yeah. Anyway,
2006 would be High School Musical.
So
yeah,
it was early.
But I mean, it doesn't mean that you watched it at the exact same time.
But, well, when I was a kid, I started playing piano when I was about maybe 7 or something, until I finished high school almost. And I think my teacher, the person who was my teacher for the longest, was a man called Gregorio, who was also a very cool dude. And I don't know if I mentioned him to you, but we used to talk a lot about Harry Potter with him. So he was like a very, so maybe like an older brother, maybe. I mean, he was probably in his 30s or almost 30s when he was teaching me. But yeah, he was also very cool and artsy and stuff. And
just like Mr. Schneebly. Or Dewey Finn, should we say?
Well, it's a bit different. I mean, I guess Dr. Schneebly is a bit more energetic, and he was a bit more chill and artsy, and I don't know. But anyway, it's sort of a role model for me, or something I had a great time with.
It's actually Schneebly. Oh, see, the quotes are coming out.
But then I do remember also that in school we had this workshop where once a week we had to choose like a type of activity to do. You could do theater, or you could do like a debate club, and I was in the sort of band thing, which we never really did anything, or a band never came really together, at least
Not
for
High
me.
School Musical, huh?
No.
You couldn't live out your high School Musical dream.
No. But also I did play a lot more classical at that time, and not so much in bands. But I remember also we're about to start a band with some friends. So yeah, I guess that's something I could relate to, or maybe it planted the idea in me that I could do that as well. But yeah, so that's one reason. It was also really funny. I think now looking back, or I think I had this maybe a couple of years ago when I was still teaching German, and I could relate to it from the sense that he was really, Schneebly was really inspiring with the kids, or he was like a friend as well. So I now saw it from the other side. So I was a teacher, right? So I was sort of Mr. Schneebly in some aspects, not that crazy, but I felt like, especially with younger students, I thought they were really inspiring to me, and it's cool to see when you have young kids who have, like in the band.
Your kids have really touched me, and I'm pretty sure I've touched them. I can see. It's not gonna stop anymore.
But yeah, it's I think I love that sort of. Is it a montage now? But there's that one scene which I rewatched recently on YouTube. It's when he puts the band together and he goes around the classroom and he starts giving the students role. Okay, so you go on the bass and play this note. There's one kid who played the guitar, right? He gives him the guitar,
the keys,
the piano player, then
the bass girl,
and the sort of the gay kid, very cliche, goes to do costume design.
By the way, recently, 2 kids got married to each other. Yeah, okay. You know which? One of the girls that does the singing, the blonde girl, and the boy that did security, the bigger boy. Okay. They got married, and all the kids were at the wedding. It was so fun.
Yeah, I saw that. I think maybe also 10 years ago.
So funny to look at that. Obviously the kids I think are about our age.
Yeah.
Like we are probably the same age as them.
Yeah, maybe a bit younger, but it's very close. Yeah. I also in that scene I always loved, or now watching it maybe now I forget the character's name, but the girl who later plays the lead role, lead singer, who is first a bit shy, and then Jack Black tells her, okay, sing something for me. I can't put you in the choir if you don't sing for me. And then she just slays with that. I don't remember the song, but with that something like Aretha Franklin, or I don't know. And I think that's so inspiring as well from a teaching perspective, like bringing out the best in people, and I love that. And yeah, I guess it also started my admiration and love for Linklater movies. He's always great with kids and love stories and music, and I don't know, his sensibility is something that later I enjoy a lot. So yeah, that's why I wanted to include that in my...
I'm glad you did.
And also
I included something else that is along the same vein, so I thought I don't necessarily want 2 films that are more or less going into the same direction, although I wouldn't say they're the same, but it's the best. It's the best film. I can rewatch it every week.
I'm just now the last song is playing in my head. The one that played at the concert. It's such a killer song. I love that song.
No, I think it's just the general. It's such a life-affirming film. I just really like the mood of this film.
Yeah,
you can always rewatch it. It's always a pick-me-up. It's just always works to improve your mood.
Yeah.
And Linklater, Yeah. Okay, should I go on?
Yes.
I will change our mood from the life-affirming to... this was easy. This was so easy to include this film for me. And it is The Dark Knight.
Okay, yeah.
And if you ask me about my favorite Nolan film, I don't necessarily know that The Dark Knight would be the number one, because there's also Inception, but it's so easy for me to answer which movie was the most influential for me personally out of Nolan films, and it is The Dark Knight. Because I also, just a few days ago, the same day that we were quoting Pokrov Gates to each other, I was telling my parents that story again, because my mom was there. So when I went to watch The Dark Knight, it was actually pretty much after the news came out that Heath Ledger died. So it was already known at that time. And I went to watch it. I went to watch it in the cinema where my mom was working in the same mall. And I went to watch it, and then I came back directly to her office, and I was crying. I was bawling. And my mom was like, "What is going on with you? What happened?" And I just said, "Don't talk to me. Just leave me alone for like a few minutes." That was my reaction to The Dark Knight. And I think that was the first film that really like shook me to the core. That I was like, this is what you can do. This is what you can say with making a film. And this is like, it's so all-consuming that you can even lose your life to it, in case of Heath Ledger, basically. So it just like really shook me completely. I was really just consumed on every level by this film. I was very impressed with everything that this film did. I was obviously the Joker, you know, it's one of the most iconic characters I feel like ever. And especially the way that Heath Ledger played this role. And yeah, I was the biggest fan of this film, of this character for many years after that. And I think that's also where my love for Nolan films kind of took I don't know, has its roots from, I guess, right?
Yeah,
so,
I mean, probably for many of us millennials, this is a huge one. Yeah, I remember also, like you said, Heath Ledger was a huge influence later. I mean, an example I bring up from music, but I feel like Daft Punk is a band that influenced a lot of music, like recently, and Heath Ledger, of course. I mean, he won the Oscar, but then, I mean, that role... Yeah. But that role was influenced actors and cosplays and even the later sort of Joker material that came out is, I mean, you could never
top it anymore.
Yeah, well, I guess top it, you can argue that maybe, Joaquin Phoenix, what he did is maybe...
it's just a different type of role. That is true. That's true.
But I also do remember that this is probably also a huge influential movie for me, because I remember rewatching it a lot. I don't remember if I watched it in the cinema, but I do really remember...
I think I probably watched it several. I mean, knowing myself, now that I think about it, I might I still am not sure about my number 5, but talking about this, if that's any way to judge how much a film influenced you by the times that you went to see it in the cinema, there is definitely one candidate for me. But yeah, I mean, for sure, this is probably important to a lot of people, but I just really, if you ask me what film had an impact on me, this is the first film that comes to mind because of my reaction to it. And also my mom witnessing it, it's just like, I could see, she was so worried, she thought something happened. I was like, it's just a movie, leave me alone, don't talk to me. I'm just like, I don't have the capacity to talk right now. I'm too overwhelmed with feelings for this film.
Yeah, but such a cool movie, especially like the opening scene, the rhythm. I mean, it's for sure not perfect. It has some like maybe flaws, or it had even in some cuts. If you watch some YouTube videos on how the editing was done. But yeah, I mean, Ledger's performance just sucks you in. I remember he's so fascinating. And then one aspect that I remember that I really got into on the rewatches, I think it was even when I started economics, I realized how much it is about this phenomenon. What's it called in game? It's a lot about game theory, and these, for example, the scenario when the people are on the two ships and they have to basically blow each other up. I don't know if it's like the chicken game, or there are a couple of these scenarios. I think the chicken race is when two cars sort of drive on a road and they drive towards each other, and who's the first one to move out of the way, and sort of you calculate the possibilities of who moves first and what's the best outcome. And I think another scene is similar, is the one the bank robbery in the beginning where they take each other out. So and in that sense it has some layers as well. But yeah, I was going to ask you, like, when you came, I mean, when you were talking to your parents about this movie, you didn't get back home and ask your dad, where is she? Talking about no.
Jeez, no. Well, I don't. And also, I haven't even seen Batman Begins by that point. So that was like also the first Nolan Batman that I saw. But yeah, I don't think my dad like really knows how much it means to me. But like my mom for sure does, because like she saw it in my face.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Christian Bale, I liked his performance at the time, but he was his voice got like parodied a lot after the movie, which I don't know.
I mean, you know how I feel about Christian Bale, so no comment there. Whatever Christian Bale does,
I probably saw
it's fine.
I probably saw Batman Begins first, and I loved him in that, especially his sort of progression, and I thought he was really good in that.
I definitely love Maggie Gyllenhaal in Batman Begins, or in The Dark Knight.
Yeah, I always thought like.
I think she's great.
I always thought like she, I don't know, somehow she didn't really fit for me in so much. Really? I mean, she plays that angle better, like this in control or a bit more assertive in comparison to Katie Holmes, or like this more. Yeah, she's not a journalist, but she's an attorney, right? And she's more hands-on and stuff. So in that regard, it's better. But maybe, I don't know, the chemistry or something. Yeah, and maybe I don't know, it didn't really work for me. I don't know why exactly. I think for me there's another Nolan movie which actually is very influential to me, but is
it on the list?
No, it's not on the list. I'll save it for next year, I guess. I won't reveal what it is. Maybe I can tell you off show.
Okay.
My next movie is, I talked about this a lot. You can probably guess which movie it is. No? It's also a musical.
I mean, obviously I will know when you tell.
I think I mentioned it on the podcast as well. And it's La La Land.
Alright, okay. That makes sense.
I mean, yeah, what can I say at this point? I guess it's like... So this is interesting. I guess influential are movies that we like to rewatch. But I guess the other...
I mean, not necessarily.
Well, the other end of the spectrum are movies that maybe we watched only once or we remember so vividly. And I remember this movie so vividly. Probably also because I listened to the soundtrack over and over. I think it was the year after it came out. And I remember listening to the soundtrack in summer, especially the opening song. And... I think it was at the time I also had a crush on a girl as well, so that sort of all blended in some way. But yeah, I mean that music is just a dance and so great, and so I only watched it once, and I think I said that I don't want to rewatch it. Recently I thought I might rewatch it if it comes out in cinema again. If I have the chance to watch it like on film or like in a great projection, that's where, or even if it's like played with an orchestra or something, that's how I would watch it. But I don't want to rewatch it because this is maybe a bit a silly idea, but it's this thought that one time I saw it was so special, so I would like to keep that memory somehow. And it's a bit, I relate it to when in Babylon, the other movie by Damien Chazelle. You remember that scene when they are filming this movie and they're sort of on top of the hill, and then sort of was it a princess or someone, like the girl and the guy, and then it's this perfect moment where there's also like a butterfly landing somehow, and everything just works perfectly. And that's how I feel a bit about that sort of moment, that it's a very special moment that you capture. Well, in Babylon, it's that they captured that moment, that magic. And for me, it's that feeling that's... I guess the feeling is also the nostalgia at the end, that montage at the end where they play through, okay, what could have happened if we would have stayed together. And they play sort of this montage with... how it would have turned out, but the fact that it didn't is sort of what crushes you. This is the movie I mentioned, that it's about nostalgia, I guess, or looking back, and I don't know if it's necessarily that healthy, but I guess it's something that we all have and relate to, and we all sometimes ask ourselves, oh, what could have happened if I didn't do this, and I approached this person, or I took this job, or moved to the city, or whatever. So it's such a powerful emotion, and in that montage, it's just it destroys you. So this movie, I guess, traumatized me.
Okay.
Not traumatized, but yeah.
Well, just like a very strong reaction to it. But it would be really great to watch. I would even watch it as with an orchestra, although it's not one of the films that I necessarily loved when I watched it, but I would be okay with rewatching it. Yeah. Now it's been a while. It came out, when did it?
2016.
Okay,
I guess, yeah.
So 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So that was the first and only time that I watched it as well. So.
So maybe even I might like it less on second viewing, because I think I probably like the music more than I like the movie at this point.
No, but I can totally relate to this as well, because there are for me also films that I really loved when I watched them the first time, and then with every rewatch I can just feel this magic fade. Just like, maybe an unpopular example, but Saltburn, for me, one of the perfect films, for me personally, but very imperfect objectively. When we watched it, and we watched it on a huge screen, and you could never watch it anymore like that, because they never showed it in cinemas here. And so that was just so great, and I was so happy that we got to do it on the huge screen, and with you and with Dario. And although of course Dario, I think, didn't enjoy it all that much, but still, I think it was just so great. And then I rewatched it, I think, pretty soon after.
Yeah, I remember. I think you said, I'm going to watch it tomorrow or something.
Oh yeah, I did. I have films that I need to rewatch straight away, even if it's just, it's been known to happen to me that I rewatch a film just for a scene like this that takes 2 seconds, that other people don't even know that it is there, because they didn't even notice. But for me, I really just certain scenes, the way that they are made, or the way that people say something, it really grips me. I'm like, I have to see it again. Actually, just now with the film that we were watching now, there was a scene like that I would go back to. The scene where she does, and the lighter goes on. Maybe we will mention that later. But so I can totally see why you wouldn't want to lose that magic necessarily by a rewatch. And it doesn't happen to me every time that I don't. But probably, it definitely fades. It's not like the first time anymore. You're gonna you will be chasing this, but it will not be there anymore with every single rewatch.
Is Saltburn on your
Unless
list?
it's School of Rock, of course. Is Saltburn on my list?
Yeah.
It is not.
Would have been a great pick.
I know, but it is not even a contender, to be honest.
Okay. So
I have other great films.
So I have one more. You have two more. What's your next one?
Oh, you have two more. Oh,
no,
yeah,
I have one more.
4.
I have one more.
Okay.
You have two more. I think.
I know we did 5. I actually have 3 more because I still haven't picked my number 5. But my number 4 is American Pop. And you will be surprised because it is an animation film.
Okay.
And it is a film about music. So it's not necessarily a musical, but it is a film about music. It's about several generations of musicians, or strictly speaking, they're not all musicians, but they're all people that are somehow connected to music. And it is a film, it's pretty old, it's 1981, and it is made in a very specific way. The animation, rotoscoping it's called. So it's like actors were acting it, and then it gets transformed into an animation. And it is a Bakshi film, and he has made several animation films in that style. He's actually also famous for his animated film by Lord of the Rings film. Here, the Lord of the Rings.
Ah, right, the sort of the original one.
I mean, 1978, I don't know, is it original? Has there ever been anything before that?
No, I think this is the one that's animated with, that was known before Peter Jackson made his version.
Yeah, for sure. And another aspect of this film is a topic that is very prevalent and very consistent throughout my life, and it is the Jewish heritage. And it is also part of this film. And I actually saw it the first time, I would say, I'm not actually even sure, but probably about 13 years ago, maybe. And I turned the TV on, and back then it was always on my favorite channel that showed actually mostly animation, but not only, it's just like series. Like The Simpsons they would show, Family Guy, that type of stuff. And they had this film on, and there was a very specific scene that they were showing, and I was just glued. And it's not in the beginning at all. It's like pretty much closer to the end, or like the middle of the film. And I was like, what is that? And it was a scene where a character is going kind of through this moment of huge regret of his, like, over his life, of how his life is going and is turning out. And there is Janis Joplin playing. And I was like, tell me what it is right now. I need to see it. So I stopped it. Obviously, I didn't continue watching because I really wanted to see the whole film. And I did. And that was one of my favorite films ever. So, I think this is, first of all, it connects a lot of different points that are important to me, like different topics that are important. So I think that is why I would say whatever list you ask me to create of my favorite films, this film is probably going to be in it. So even if you just ask me to do just my favorite films, it would be there. Most influential films, it will be there. It will be whatever it is. I think, this just for me is one of the best things I've ever seen. And it talks about different generations of more or less, you could say, one family, although people are very distant, so they don't have the connection that you would expect a family to have. But there's definitely a lineage, so they are connected. They may not even know that they are, but they are. And the stuff that connects them is music. So it starts with a person who wanted to connect his life to music but couldn't because he was, I won't go to spoilers, but he couldn't he wanted to sing, he wanted to do music, but he just out of the way that his life was turning out, he couldn't do it. Then his son was trying to do the same, but that was also a situation that couldn't continue, couldn't go on any further. Then his son made a step further in that direction, and then it goes on and on. And so I think this story is just great, and the music that is in this film is awesome. And this is one of those things, again, this is the film that I was saying I connect or put more in the same category as School of Rock, because a lot of the songs that are in the film are cool and very important to me. And obviously I'm a rock fan, so School of Rock is obviously for me, made for me. And I would say this also, obviously this one has a lot of different music because it's different generations of people. But yeah, I mean, whatever is in this film is in my playlist. I love the music from this film.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I would watch.
You should. Yeah. You really should. It's great.
But I was just
Haven't we seen it before together?
I don't think so.
Maybe we can sometime.
Yeah, I would be down for it. But I was just thinking, maybe it's a bit off, but maybe this is why you like Sinners. I don't know. I mean,
Sinners. I mean,
it has that aspect as well. That that one sort of dream sequence where we get to see like the sort of African American culture and how they connect to music. I mean, it's a bit of that thought. I don't think
there is like one element that always makes you like things, right? So It's the same for Sinners. There's definitely a musical element that I really like. I mean, the scene that I loved the most was the Rocky Road to Dublin scene, and I was just like, oh my god! Like I just like set up in my chair, and it was just like,
I remember I was there.
Yeah, I know. And so I think this is. I don't know, sometimes I can't explain it, but sometimes there are just scenes or the way that people say certain things, the way that they read their lines, it's just like grips me and captures me. And sometimes I even go back to like watch the same snippet, and this really freaks Dario out. He doesn't like it at all because I don't know, it's just like not really anything special most of the time, but for me it is. And I guess it's the same with that or with Sinners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I have my last pick is also musical.
Oh my goodness! You really went all in on musicals.
Yeah,
here.
I thought I just might give you like a selection of musicals that I like. So that's the logic I went for on this episode. But, well, actually, I don't know if it's... Maybe I cheated here a bit as well. I don't know if it's influential, but it's maybe personal. In two ways. The first one is I got to this movie... Actually, not even the movie, but just... Well, this was a Broadway musical by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who did Hamilton, if you've seen Hamilton.
I have not.
No, okay. I never finished Hamilton. Shame on me. I got introduced to that musical through one of my best friends, my high school friends, because he sort of took a year off to actually do the musical with a sort of amateur theater company where he was studying in Germany. They did they translated the songs to German, I think, yes. So it was like a year of his life that he basically took off to do that. And I remember that he told me how he did it, and he even showed me a recording of it, and it was, this is really awesome. And well, this is the friend that was in me in this band in high school, sort of, and we used to play a piano together. So there's this friend who basically, we talk a lot about music still as well. And I thought, okay, it's awesome, this musical that you did, and I was super impressed. And his singing, he took the lead role. And I think a couple years after is when sort of the movie came out. And I remember I watched, did I watch this? I think I watched this in the cinema. And I knew a couple of songs already, but I was impressed with Well, I guess I was already impressed by the lyrics. I mean, the lyrics are so great and the way it flows, and it's also very, in a way, street level or realistic. I mean, I think the first song is the main character Usnavi working in his sort of shop, and then it's all sort of the whole cast stops by and gets something there. And the lyrics and the rhythm is so fast and really, I mean, you're absorbed in that world, but also very clever lyrics. Yeah, and I was impressed. The movie impressed me because of, well, how the camera moved as well, but some of the musical numbers, the dance, the choreography was awesome. And there's one scene which is sort of a dance that starts inside in a bedroom, and then the characters start to sort of in a Spider-Man way start to walk on the building, and the camera flips, which is really cool. He did something similar in Wicked as well.
What's the name of that one?
Oh, I haven't even mentioned it.
I don't know. Maybe I just didn't hear.
It's In the Heights.
Okay, then you can say that. I don't even know if I heard.
It's basically, how should I sum up the story? It's this Puerto Rican American guy who lives in New York, in the Heights, in that neighborhood, and he is saving up to buy his parents' house back in Puerto Rico. And yeah, well, this is where I can relate to a lot as well, is that he is dealing with sort of this love, or I guess also nostalgia for his origin, where he came from. But yeah, well, I guess I shouldn't spoil the movie, but but yeah, that's where I relate to a lot as well, is this idea of being someone who lives in sort of two worlds or between two cultures. I mean, I grew up in Argentina, but always grew up with the German and sort of German culture, and went to a German school, and sort of I was always between those two, but never really belonged 100% in, or didn't want to belong in, I guess, in either one. And yeah, and I thought that's something I could really relate to. That yeah, you're a bit different, and it's fine that you don't have to identify as one or the other, and especially now I've been living here in Switzerland for over 10 years, and it's the other way around, where maybe I don't have the connection to Argentina isn't as strong anymore, and I have to work for it. But now I tend to realize that that's fine, that you still have that sort of empathy or perspective from where you grew up, or how things were done in your country of origin, and they're completely different, and you can always snap back, and there's still a lot of layers and stories and things that you lived through, and when you get back together with people from your hometown or whatever, immediately those things, those sensibilities come back up, and you sort of feel it, right? So this is a bit where I connected with this movie.
All right. My goodness, now I'm scared, because now we come up to my undecided point where I still don't know what to say.
I mean, I was struggling with this as well. I mean, I went for the musical logic, but I had like 4 other movies that I could have chosen. So.
Well, I can mention them both. But yeah, I don't know. Because throughout while we were talking, I was thinking, oh well, now if that's the direction, then this movie fits. But then if that's the direction, then also this movie fits. So they both fit really well, and they are both probably equally influential. But so okay, I will mention one, and then we will see if I mention the other. But so I was saying that if you judge by the amount of times you saw the movie in cinema, if you judge by that, there is no other candidate for me but one. You know what that could be?
Probably do know, but
really, okay.
No, I don't know.
By the amount of times that you see
I should know
in the
this.
cinema.
I should know this.
We have never seen it together in the cinema.
But you probably mentioned it.
I might have. So I saw this film.
Give Give me a clue.
I saw this. So when it first came out, I saw this film in cinema 4 times. And then I saw it again the 5th time recently in cinema because they were showing it again.
No, it's a terrible
I don't think
friend.
there's
I don't
anybody
remember.
else that goes to the cinema to watch the same film over and over.
Yeah, you probably mentioned it, but I forgot.
It's Inglourious Bastards.
That's a good pick.
I'm glad you like it. So yeah, this was a great film. Obviously for me at that time, I was really impressed with it when it came out. Again, the Jewish theme, the theme of the Second World War, very important. A completely different angle, obviously, but the topic of the Second World War, of the Holocaust, has always been very important to me. I watched a lot of stuff, I read a lot of stuff, I know a lot of stuff about it. And so when this film came out, I was obviously going to see it, and I did, and I went to see it again and again and again and again. And so I think I saw the director's cut 3 times, and 1 time I saw the official, like, all completely dubbed in Russian version, and I was like, nope, thank you. And so, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say. It's just a great film. I really loved it and was very, I don't know, I was super impressed with it. And a lot of people were obviously at that time saying like, yeah, but that's not historically accurate. And it was just funny to me.
No, but I'm glad that you picked this one because you reminded me that this is, probably a very influential movie to me as well because, well, first, for me, I got to this movie through some of the cool guys in my class who mentioned that they had seen it and had started quoting the movie, and I think after that I watched it. But yeah, I think this movie is influential, or what I appreciate a lot about this is a bit what I was talking about before, that it's maybe less so the cultural aspect, but the language aspect. And I love that this movie, that you have the actors speaking in 4 different languages. Yeah. So you have English, German, French, and Italian. Wait, is it No, French is there. So I always loved that I thought it was like a miracle or great achievement that Tarantino managed or accomplished that in a movie, that you have so many languages and well, of course, one of the actors who speak lots of languages, Daniel Brühl from Germany, and then of course Christoph Waltz, who just steals the movie. and this is, I guess, a movie that also has many moments that are quoted. For example, like that's a bingo.
That's your quote. That's actually, you quote that.
Yeah,
I feel like.
But the other one is, do you remember the quote?
What is that? We also were somewhere and what was that? Antonio Margaretti.
Exactly, Brad Pitt.
Yeah, I think it's just like it's again a treasure trove of quotes.
Yeah, but that's a cool aspect that Tarantino sort of makes fun a bit of the Americans, especially in that scene, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's some multicultural, and then well, it's not historically accurate, but I guess this is the first time where I really appreciated Tarantino sort of doing something really different. I'm talking about where he kills Hitler in this movie, but there's sort
just
of
the shock value.
Exactly, sort of similar to what happens in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, right? So
I think it's just also one of those films. I mean, obviously by that point I saw other Tarantino films, but I think that was the film where I really felt this kind of the way that he makes his films, and the dialogue is weaponized, and it's just like you watch that unfold in front of you, and it's, of course, Pulp Fiction is another great example, or Reservoir Dogs, but somehow living through the experience of seeing that film right when it's released, and I don't know, somehow it has had a different effect on me than the other films that I saw, I don't know, just at home, I don't know if it's just the cinema effect of it, but always great.
But yeah, the dialogue is great as well. Did he win screenplay for this, Tarantino?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So just two scenes that came to mind, and maybe I should mention briefly. Well, one is, I guess, the opening scene where Landa goes into the house of these French people, and it's sort of him in detective mode and being very, like, the way he asks the questions is super, like, suspicious, and you sense he's really smart. So that's beautifully written.
Yeah, and I think, it's just the switch, so it's not made in one specific kind of mode. It's like even the scene in the very beginning, the opening scene with Landa and him, being this like quirky guy, and then he like turns and becomes this, SS officer or what? Who is he exactly? Is he?
I think he's like an SS officer,
or Gestapo. Probably SS, right? Well, anyway, so in any case, that's one aspect, and then you have a lot of other different things that are very Tarantino-esque, where he, like, the editing that is very specific to him, the way that he edits the music, it's just like sometimes very choppy, sometimes the things are just like even a little bit mismatched in a way, but it's like very him. And I think that's also great, like if you can own it and that's your signature style, I mean, that's great. And for example, when he was introducing different characters from this Jewish squad, right? When he's introducing the character of Til Schweiger, and there are those like scenes where he is killing the Nazi officers, and I don't know, just like how he goes through those. It's just like so specific, and you never see this style in any other film. But yeah, I thought it's just a great film.
Yeah, the other scene which is great writing, but also played beautifully, is the scene in the bar where they play the game,
sure.
right?
I mean, that's iconic.
Yeah, I mean that scene also is something I really also think is great because of, again, do you remember the character's name, sort of the SS officer who...
I don't remember his name, but I mean from the Augustin's character.
Yeah, but he's in a way similar to Landa, that he plays it in one way, but he's very suspicious, and then the way he's able to tell that, well, Michael Fassbender's character is Irish just because of how
he's British in that one.
Ah, okay, sorry. Yeah. But just because of the way he orders the drinks with his fingers, and that's also like a very language thing or cultural thing.
Yeah.
And
just
that's
the attention to this. I mean, obviously, it's not... In here, it's like the very specific catch, right? It is the point of that scene is that he gets caught on that detail. But, I mean, you still have to come up with that, right? It's not... It is on the surface, like we've been talking about it. Like for me, it's also unnatural. Like the way that people show 3 here is unnatural to me. I cannot even like put my fingers together like that. It's so weird. But yeah, I mean, if we wouldn't necessarily be talking about it if we didn't know that context and that scene was not in popular culture. So yeah. The
other thing that always stuck with me, I think, well, I love Diane Kruger in this movie. I think I was always impressed by her character in the way that she is, well, in that scene, especially in the bar scene, sort of how she is maneuvering around this interaction and tries to calm, I guess, the officer down, and how she improvises. I thought she was always like a great character, very brave as well. I thought she was always very well written, and I guess I had never seen like a German character, like a female character at that point. Yeah, and she was, I guess, very different from what like other female roles I grew up with, maybe. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's great one.
All right. Well, if I may, I will mention as an honorable mention my number 6. I cheated completely. I cheated the system, but it's Whiplash. And Whiplash is, if you ask me for my favorite films, Whiplash is definitely going to be on it. And that was, I will say that. So let me start somewhere else. This week we watched a film that put me in the same, kind of in the same mindset, in the same mood, in the sense that while I'm watching the film, I live in that film. And it completely takes over my whole life, my whole existence. Nothing else exists for me in the world, just the reality of this film. And that was what I was feeling while I was watching Whiplash. And I think there were a few films that did that for me, but I think Whiplash was the first one that did that in a very, like, in this sense that at some point, while I think already the last bits of the film were playing, I realized the film is going to end. And it made me so sad because I just was completely immersed and I didn't want to stop. I just wanted to live in there and I didn't want to leave. And that was, I think, Whiplash was probably one of the, I would say it was the first film where it literally felt like this. And I can't really say that I have that often. It really doesn't happen. It happened to me maybe 3 times over my whole life, and it now happened to me this week, and that was again great. And so, I mean, obviously the film, that was also the first Damien Chazelle film for me, and I think it was also his first major film in general. And since then, he, for me personally, was not able to top it. I don't think he ever will, to be honest. This film will forever stay in my heart. In terms of subject matter, I think it also speaks to me because it kind of lives in this gray area of how people interact with each other and how people achieve their goals. And it's a very interesting thing to think about. And I don't know, I think it's great to be, to watch this film and get immersed into someone else's mindset and into someone else's obsession like this. And yeah, I mean, one of my favorite films ever. And this is there alongside American Pop will always be in my list, whatever it is. But I mean, here I just had 2 and I didn't know which one to pick.
Well, I'll allow the honorable mention just because, I guess this is also a very influential movie to me. Because...
And I kind of thought about it because you mentioned La La Land, and I thought, well, see?
Well, but I mean, Chazelle, I think in Whiplash and La La Land has this ability to create that sort of that last scene, just the way it sticks with you, and there's some ability he has. It's just
that
amazing.
That is true, because it was the same in Babylon. Although I can't really say that I enjoyed Babylon all that much. The last scene was, if not for the last scene, I would not have any better feelings towards Babylon.
Yeah, but I was just thinking, going through the last scene, and you mentioned that you start to realize that it's going to end, and the movie sets you up for that, and so it's this crescendo until the last note and that last look between them, and then it stops just in the middle.
I don't know, it's just like, I think it was the same type of feeling that The Dark Knight probably cultivated in me, this reaction of like, you are just so emotionally invested that you don't know how to go back to your life anymore. It's just like you completely are outside of yourself. You're not you at this point. And that's, I think, what started with The Dark Knight and what then maybe got picked up again by Whiplash. I'm not the type of person that has a lot of films that really impress me beyond belief every year. It happens to me quite rarely, I would say. There are a lot of films that I like, but there are not every year do I have a film that I say, this is the film. And yeah, but the one that I watched this week, that I already mentioned a little bit to you outside, we might talk about it sometime.
But yeah, I mean, this movie, it's also personal for me because I mentioned my piano teacher. I mean, he wasn't abusive in the way that J.K. Simmons is, but he also had this perfectionism, and I guess that's where I got it from not necessarily from the teacher, but I myself got so, like Miles Teller in the movie, was so obsessed with getting it right, getting the piece right, and I think that's where it came from. So I really could relate to that, so just drilling and repeating a song over and over. And then what I think it's influential for me because I do from time to time think about this movie in that artistic aspect. It's like, I guess the main question of the movie is, what are you willing sort of to sacrifice for your art, or how far are you willing to go in some extreme ways for your art, and if that's worth it. And I think that's a really interesting question, which I guess it's just a matter of perspective. I mean, it's an approach that can work for some people. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily healthy, but maybe sometimes it takes those lengths that you need to go through. But yeah, glad that you chose this one as well. And I'll join you in the sentiment that I don't always have these. Well, it makes sense why we chose these movies because, like we said, they stayed with us. And thinking back, usually I don't have that. So this sort of task or exercise wasn't that easy. I had more movies that are like favorites and stuff, but like I mentioned before, that maybe sometimes you don't even realize how movies affected you. It's maybe subconscious, or or it's also very hard to think about why or come up on the spot with some movies. But yeah, at least for me, this was a fun discussion and fun exercise.
Yeah, for sure. And we never really talked about our favorites in that format, I think. Yeah,
so I mean, I think from your picks, I only was familiar with, I guess, Beetlejuice and The Dark Knight.
Yeah, you could have expected that.
Yeah.
Although I feel like still The Dark Knight is probably not that predictable in the sense that there are other Nolan films that I like. And if you ask me, I would probably say Inception is probably my favorite Nolan film, but The Dark Knight just has a special place in my heart. And obviously also Christian Bale, which is, can do no wrong.
Okay, I think that's it for this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe get the chance to watch some of these movies. I will watch American Pop.
You
very
will
likely.
With me? I will not let you watch it without me now.
Let us know in the comments if you would like to listen to us talking about our most, or the series that most influenced us. Because I feel like I have quite a lot of those.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think series even more so.
It's I have two that I can think off the top of my head, but
I think it's an unfair comparison because we stay with the series a lot longer. But anyway, but yeah, let us know if you would like us to do this show, and otherwise, I have a quote.
Ooh, okay, go on.
Not from Nicolas Cage, from my movie that I I considered, but I didn't mention. But I'll just run with the quote anyway. And the quote is, "Honey, where's my super suit?"
Which one's that?
Well, join us.
Have to find out.
Join us next year, and I might reveal the answer to this.
All right.
Thanks for listening, and bye.
Bye-bye. It's actually cool with the headphones. So now we have like 50 hours. It was really long,
it's
huh?
really long. So this here shows 2 hours.
Fuck.